The year was 1776. A young nation, yearning for liberty, took a bold stand against tyranny. They penned a document that would echo through the ages, the Declaration of Independence. This wasn't just about taxes or representation. It was about something far greater. It was about the fundamental rights of every human being, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These weren't just lofty ideals. They were the cornerstones of a new nation, a beacon of hope for the oppressed, a testament to the enduring human spirit.
But the path to freedom is rarely smooth. It's a journey paved with struggle, sacrifice, and the unwavering belief in a better tomorrow. The Declaration was a promise that wouldn't be fulfilled overnight. It was a call to action, a challenge for generations to come to fight for the soul of their nation, to strive for a world where the words "all men are created equal" rang true for every citizen.
This wasn't just an American story, it was a human story. The echoes of that declaration resonated far beyond the shores of the newly formed nation. It ignited revolutions across the globe, from the streets of Paris to the heart of Latin America. The pursuit of freedom became a global anthem, a symphony of voices rising in unison against oppression. The Declaration of Independence was more than just a document. It was a dream that whispered of a world where every individual could stand tall, unshackled by the chains of tyranny. It was a dream that continues to inspire us today as we strive to build a more just and equitable world for all. The ink had barely dried on the Declaration of Independence, yet a cruel irony stained its promise. The very men who championed liberty held others in bondage. Slavery, a dark stain on the fabric of the nation, cast a long shadow over the dream of freedom. How could a nation founded on the principles of equality deny those principles to an entire race of people?
This hypocrisy wasn't lost on those who suffered under its yoke. From Frederick Douglass's powerful words to Harriet Tubman's daring rescues on the Underground Railroad, the fight for true freedom raged on. Abolitionists risked their lives and livelihoods, challenging the conscience of a nation. They spoke truth to power, demanding that America live up to its ideals.
The struggle for civil rights was a long and arduous journey. It was a fight waged in courtrooms and on the streets, in classrooms and at lunch counters. It was a fight for basic human dignity, for the right to vote, to work, to live free from fear and discrimination. And while the fight for racial equality continues to this day, the spirit of those early freedom fighters lives on. Their courage inspires us to confront injustice wherever we see it, to raise our voices for those who cannot, to never stop fighting for a more perfect union. The year 1861 marked a turning point in American history. The nation, deeply divided over the issue of slavery, plunged into a bloody civil war. Brother fought against brother, friend against friend, all in the name of freedom. The battlefields were soaked with the blood of young men, both North and South, fighting for what they believed in.
In the midst of this turmoil, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. With a stroke of his pen, he declared the freedom of slaves in Confederate-held territory. This wasn't just a military tactic. It was a moral imperative, a recognition that the nation could no longer tolerate the sin of slavery.
The Civil War was a brutal and costly conflict, but it ultimately led to the end of slavery in America. The 13th Amendment, passed in 1865, abolished slavery once and for all, etching the promise of freedom into the very fabric of the Constitution. But the fight for true equality was far from over. The end of slavery marked the beginning of a new era, an era of reconstruction and reconciliation. It was a time of both hope and hardship, as the nation grappled with the legacy of slavery and the challenges of building a more just society. Section 4, Juneteenth, a promise fulfilled. On June 19, 1865, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, with news that would change the course of history. Slavery was abolished. Juneteenth, a portmanteau of June 19th, commemorates this momentous occasion, marking the day when the last enslaved African Americans in the United States finally tasted the sweetness of freedom. But freedom, a word so easily uttered, carried a weight far heavier than its syllables. The scars of slavery ran deep, etched into the souls of generations. The journey from emancipation to true equality was just beginning. Jim Crow laws, segregation, and systemic racism continued to plague Black communities, a stark reminder that the fight for freedom is an ongoing battle. Juneteenth is not just a celebration of the past, it's a call to action for the present. It's a reminder that the fight for equality is far from over. It's a time to reflect on how far we've come and how far we still have to go in our pursuit of a more just and equitable society. It's a day to honor the resilience of those who endured the horrors of slavery and emerged with their spirits unbroken. It's a day to celebrate the progress that has been made while acknowledging the work that still lies ahead. And it's a day to recommit ourselves to the ongoing struggle for freedom and justice for all. The chains of modern slavery. We live in a modern world, a world where technology connects us in ways unimaginable just decades ago. Yet a darkness lingers, a chilling echo of our past modern slavery. Human trafficking, a global epidemic, preys on the vulnerable, trapping millions in forced labor and sexual exploitation. It hides in plain sight, a sinister network operating in our communities and across borders. The faces of modern slavery are diverse. Children forced into sweatshops, women trafficked for sex, men toiling in fields under threat of violence. Their stories are heartbreaking, a testament to the depravity that can exist in the human heart. But amidst the darkness, there are glimmers of hope. Organizations around the world are working tirelessly to combat human trafficking, rescuing victims, providing support, and advocating for change. Governments are strengthening laws and increasing enforcement efforts. Modern activists. The fight against modern slavery is a fight for the soul of humanity. It's a fight that demands our attention, our compassion, and our unwavering commitment to justice. We must shine a light on this darkness, expose the perpetrators, and create a world where every human being is free to live with dignity and respect. The freedom beyond. The fight for earthly freedom reminds us of our need for spiritual freedom in Christ. As we strive for justice and equality in this world, we are reminded of the ultimate freedom that comes through faith in Christ. This spiritual freedom transcends all earthly struggles and offers hope and peace to all who believe. Just as we work tirelessly to break the chains of modern slavery, we must also remember the chains that bind our spirits. The burdens of sin, guilt, fear, and hopelessness can weigh heavily on the soul. But through Christ, there is liberation and freedom. His teachings of love, forgiveness, and redemption offer a path to true freedom, a freedom that cannot be taken away by any earthly force. Galatians 5:1 says, "For freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery." In seeking justice for our fellow humans, let us also seek the spiritual liberation that Christ offers to every soul. Let us be voices of hope, not just in the fight against physical oppression, but also in the battle against spiritual bondage. As Ephesians 6:12 declares, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places." The journey to a world free from the chains of sin and injustice is long and arduous, but with the work of Christ, faith, compassion, and unwavering commitment, we can make strides towards a brighter future. A future where every human being is free to live with dignity, respect, and the ultimate peace that comes from spiritual freedom in Christ. Together, let us shine a light on the darkness, expose the perpetrators, and create a world where both earthly and spiritual freedoms are realized, offering hope and peace to all who believe. Let us not only fight for the rights of our fellow humans, but also seek the spiritual liberation and freedom that Christ offers to all who trust in Him.